Narayanam Namaskritya Narapche Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tatam Jayanti Nashtibrayeshu Bhadreshu Tim Bhagavate Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 16, King Chitraketu meets the Supreme Lord. Text number 20 onwards. Atmanandanubhutyeva nyasta shaktyurmaye namaha Rishikeshaya Mahate Namaste Anantamurtaye. Perceiving your personal bliss, you're always transcendental to the waves of material nature. Therefore, my Lord, I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. You're the supreme controller of the senses, and your expansions of form are unlimited. You're the greatest, and therefore I offer my respectful obeisances unto you. So different qualities of the Lord are being enumerated here. This verse analytically differentiates the living entity from the Supreme Lord. The form of the Lord and the form of the conditioned soul are different because the Lord is always blissful, whereas the conditioned soul is always under the threefold miseries of the material world. The Supreme Lord is Satchidananda Vigraha. He derives Ananda, bliss, from his own self. The Lord's body is transcendental, spiritual, but because the conditioned soul has a material body, he has many bodily and mental troubles. Conditioned soul is always perturbed by attachment and detachment, whereas the Supreme Lord is always free from such dualities. The Lord is the supreme master of all the senses, whereas the conditioned soul is controlled by the senses. The Lord is the greatest, where the living entity is the smallest. The living entity is conditioned by the waves of material nature, but the Supreme Lord is transcendental to all actions and reactions. The expansions of the Supreme Lord's body are innumerable. Advaitam Achyutamanadi Mantapu. But the conditioned soul is limited to only one form. From history, we learn that a conditioned soul, by mystic power, can sometimes expand into 8 forms. But the Lord's bodily expansions are unlimited. So, these 8 forms, we'll read about, I think, Sobari Rishi expanded, or also Kardamuni expanded himself into 8 forms. But those 8 forms were identical. They were not doing separate activities. They were all doing the same thing. But the Lord can do unlimited number of expansions, and they all will do unlimited number of activities at the same time. This means that the bodies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead have no beginning and no end, unlike the bodies of the living entities. So huge difference between the Lord and a living entity. So those who say that we are also God, you are God, I am God, everybody is God, they just have no idea what they're talking about. The Lord's form is completely transcendental, spiritual. We are all material. We have this material form. More descriptions are given later on. And just like the Lord is everywhere, even though he has form, he is everywhere. We have form. We are only at one place. Vachasyu parate aprapya ya eko manasa saha anama rupa chinmatra so avyannah sad asat paraha. The words and mind of the conditioned soul cannot approach the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for material names and forms are not applicable to the Lord, who is entirely spiritual, beyond the conception of gross and subtle forms. The impersonal Brahman is another of his forms. May he, by his pleasure, protect us. The impersonal Brahman, which is the effulgence of the Lord, is described in this verse. So the words and mind of the conditioned soul cannot approach. It cannot even approach the impersonal Brahman, the Brahm Jyoti. What to speak of the personality of the Supreme Lord? Yasminidam yataschedam tishtati api eti jayate mrinmayeshve mrinjatis tasmai te brahmane namaha. As parts made completely of earth are situated on earth after being created and are transformed into earth again when broken, this cosmic manifestation is caused by the Supreme Brahman, situated in the Supreme Brahman and annihilated in the Supreme Brahman. Therefore, since the Supreme Lord is the cause of Brahman, let us offer him our respectful obeisances. The Supreme Lord is the cause of the cosmic manifestation. He maintains it after creation and after annihilation. The Lord is a reservoir of everything. So everything, the cause and effect is the Supreme Lord. Even the Supreme Brahman or the Brahm Jyoti is the what? Effulgence of the body of Krishna. So Krishna is the source of everything. Everything. Material, spiritual worlds, Brahm Jyoti, all the incarnations, all the energies, and from the energies, all the different kinds of bodies, 8,400,000 species, even the whole universe, creation, everything actually comes from Krishna. And not even directly Krishna, the Mahavishnu. From Mahavishnu comes all these material creations. And we have studied that in second canto of Bhagavatam. Yanna sprishanti na vidur mano buddhendriya savaha andar bahishcha vidatam vyom vattannato asmi aham. The Supreme Brahman emanates from the Supreme Personality of Godhead and expands like the sky. Although untouched by anything material, it exists within and without. Nonetheless, the mind, intelligence, senses, and living force can neither touch him nor know him. I offer unto him my respectful obeisances. So neither the mind, intelligence, senses, and living force can neither touch him nor know him. And this is about the Brahm Jyoti, or Supreme Brahman. Dehendriya prana mano dhyomi yadansha vidha pracharanti karamsu navanyada loham iva prataptam sthaneshu tad drishtrapadesham eti. As iron has the power to burn when made red hot in the association of fire, so the body, senses, living force, mind, and intelligence, although merely lumps of matter, can function in their activities when infused with the particle of consciousness by the Supreme Personality of God. As iron cannot burn unless heated by fire, the bodily senses cannot act unless favored by the Supreme Brahman. Red hot iron can burn, but it cannot burn the original fire. Therefore, the consciousness of the small particle of Brahman is fully dependent on the power of the Supreme Brahman. In Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, Matta smritir jnanam mohanam cha. From me, the conditioned soul receives memory, knowledge, and forgetfulness. The power for activities comes from the Supreme Lord. And when the Lord withdraws this power, the conditioned soul no longer has energy with which to act through his various senses. The body includes 5 knowledge-acquiring senses, 5 active senses, and the mind. But actually, these are merely lumps of matter. For example, the brain is nothing but matter. But when electrified by the energy of the Supreme Personality of God, the brain can act just as iron can burn when made red hot by the influence of fire. The brain can act while we are awake or even while we are dreaming. But when we are fast asleep or unconscious, the brain is inactive. Since the brain is a lump of matter, it does not have independent power with which to act. It can act only when favored by the influence of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and who is Brahman or Parabrahman. This is the way to understand how the Supreme Brahman Krishna is present everywhere, just as the sunshine is present because of the sun globe or sun god in the sun globe. The Supreme Lord is called Rishikesha. He is the only conductor of the senses. Unless empowered by his energy, our senses cannot act. In other words, he is the only seer, the only worker, the only listener, and the only active principle of Supreme Controller. So this is what Narad Muni is telling Maharaj Chitraketu about the Supreme Lord. An example he gives here is red hot iron. When the iron is in the fire, it has a power to burn. Not without the fire. It cannot burn without the fire. So similarly, the bodily senses cannot act unless favored by the Supreme Brahman or Krishna. And just like we were also earlier somehow talking about brain, and the brain Prabhupada mentions about there in the purport, the brain acts wonderfully. But without the Supreme Lord, who's Rishikesha, even the brain cannot function. Prabhupada gives the example of sleep. When somebody is in deep sleep, brain becomes inactive. Mind is still active, but the brain is inactive. Or when somebody dies, the brain doesn't function. The soul leaves the body, the brain just quits functioning. Brain or any other senses. Subtle body goes with the soul. Mind, intelligence, false ego. That subtle body goes. Brain comes under the gross body. It's a lump of matter. And it just stops functioning. That's how powerful the soul is. And then the supreme super soul, which is one aspect of Krishna. So without him, we are nothing actually. We cannot do anything. Text 25. Om Namo Bhagavate Mahapurushaya Mahanubhavaya Mahavibhutpate Sakala Sattvat Parivrada Nikara Kara Kamal Kunkumalo Lalit Charanaravinda Yugal Param Parameshti Namaste. O transcendental Lord, who are situated in the topmost planet of the spiritual world, your two lotus feet are always massaged by a multitude of the best devotees with their lotus bud hands. You are the Supreme Personality of Godhead, complete in 6 opulences. You are the Supreme Person mentioned in the Purusha Shukta prayers. You are the most perfect, self-realized master of all mystic power. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto you. It is said that the absolute truth is one, but is manifested in different features as Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. The previous verses described the Brahman, Paramatma features of the absolute truth. Now this prayer is offered in Bhakti Yoga to this absolute supreme person. The words used in this regard are Sakal Sattvat Parivrita. The word Sattvat means devotees and Sakal means all together. The devotees who also have lotus feet serve the lotus feet of the Lord with their lotus hands. The devotees may sometimes not be competent to serve the lotus feet of the Lord, and therefore the Lord is addressed as Param Parameshtin. He is a supreme person, yet he is very kind to the devotees. So Parameshtin means who are situated in the spiritual planet, and Param means the topmost. No one is competent to serve the Lord, but even if a devotee is not competent, the merciful Lord accepts the humble attempt of the devotee. So although he is Param Parameshtin, so Param Ishtin means supremely situated. But he is so kind to his devotees that he just accepts whatever services his devotees can render. Shri Shukvacha Bhaktaya Tam Prapannaya Vidyamadishya Narada Yaya Vangirasa Sakam Dhama Swayam Bhuvam Prabhu. Shri Shukdev Goswami continued. Narad, having become the spiritual master of Chitraketu, instructed him fully in this prayer because Chitraketu was fully surrendered. O King Parikshit, Narad then left with great sage Angira for the topmost planet known as Brahmalok. When Angira had first come to visit King Chitraketu, he did not bring Narad with him. However, after the death of Chitraketu's son, Angira brought Narad to instruct King Chitraketu about Bhakti Yoga. The difference was that in the beginning, Chitraketu was not in a temperament of renunciation. But after the death of his son, when he was overwhelmed by his great plight, he was awakened to the platform of renunciation by instructions regarding the falsity of this material world and material possessions. It is only at this stage that Bhakti Yoga can be instructed. As long as one is attached to material enjoyment, Bhakti Yoga cannot be understood. So that is why Bhakti Yogis are very rare. Because we all have so many attachments to the material world, to the material possessions, to the material activities. Even after coming into Bhakti Yoga, also we have the attachments, and slowly they go away. But those who are too attached, the bhakti just does not develop in them. But the devotees are so much. They still try to create agyat sukriti in them so that slowly they can come on the platform of bhakti. And just like Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Bhogeshwarya prasaktanam daya parahita chetasam. In the minds of those who are too attached to sense enjoyment and material opulence, and who are bewildered by such things, the resolute determination of devotional service to the Supreme Lord does not take place. As long as one is very much attached to material enjoyment, one cannot concentrate his mind on the subject matter of devotional service. And this we can see even while we are trying to perform devotional service. But when the mind goes here or there into material enjoyment, when we have no love for or concentration in chanting of the holy names, or any other part of devotion service, then somehow or other we have to bring the mind back. We have to bring ourselves back. No, just chant, just do. So it's a struggle. Every day it's a struggle. The Krishna consciousness movement is progressing successfully in the Western countries at the present moment because the youth in the West have reached the stage of vairagya or renunciation. They are practically disgusted with material pleasure from material sources, and this has resulted in a population of hippies throughout the Western countries. Now, if these young people are instructed about Bhakti Yoga, Krishna consciousness, the instructions will certainly be effective. So just like Narad Muni, he came, or Angira Rishi brought Narad Muni, when he knew now Maharaj Chitraketu is ready, he will be very receptive. And this receptiveness comes, just like Prabhupada says, it comes when material sources don't give any material pleasure. And then somebody begins to look for some spiritual guidance, or if he finds the right guru, or if he has a proper sukriti, that Krishna will take him to the right guru. Otherwise, he can still look around for something which is not very conducive. Just like all these hippies in 1960s, they just didn't know what to look for, where to look. So that time, lots of drugs were introduced in America and in the European countries. And they used to take all these drugs and LSD and smoke all these various stuff. And they would be in the nasha, and then they would think this is spirituality. But that had nothing to do with spirituality. It's just craziness, something madness. No spirituality whatsoever. But at that time, since they were receptive, they were ready, and Krishna arranged Prabhupada to come here to the Western world. And many of them, so many of them, they just followed Prabhupada. And so many came and left also. But so many followed Prabhupada. Because at that time, they were completely disillusioned by this materialistic way of life. Similarly, when Arjun was put into that situation by Krishna's arrangement, he was completely disillusioned. He didn't want to fight war. He just wanted to run away from the battlefield. And just few months back, he had fought alone with the whole army of Kauravas. Alone, when he was fighting, when they were living in this Virat, in this kingdom of Virat. He alone fought. And now with the whole army under Yudhishthira Maharaj, he was not willing to fight. He was completely disillusioned. And that was the time Krishna spoke, Srimad Bhagavad Gita. So here also, Maharaj Chitraketu, now he is disillusioned. And in that state, Narad Muni came and he gave him the message of Bhakti Yoga. As soon as Chitraketu understood the philosophy of Vairagya Vidya, the knowledge of renunciation, he could understand the process of Bhakti Yoga. In this regard, Srila Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya has said, Vairagya Vidya Nij Bhakti Yoga. Vairagya Vidya and Bhakti Yoga are parallel lines. One is essential for understanding the other. It is also said, Bhakti Pareshanubhav Viraktir Anyatra Cha. Advancement in devotional service of Krishna consciousness is characterized by increasing renunciation of material enjoyment. Narad Muni is the father of devotional service, and therefore just to bestow causeless mercy upon King Chitraketu, Angira brought Narad Muni to instruct the king. These instructions were extremely effective. Anyone who follows in the footsteps of Narad Muni is certainly a pure devotee. So here Prabhupada says very nicely, Narad Muni is a father of devotional service. So he has been given, he is one way he is considered a Shaktavesh avatar. He was given the Shakti of Bhakti, and he can give Bhakti to anybody. So he travels all over the universe, and because of this curse of Daksha that he cannot stay at any place for too long, so that is even more conducive for his preaching purposes. So he travels, keeps on traveling, and he finds suitable candidates to preach to, and he gives them Bhakti. So wonderful services he does, and here Maharaj Chitraketu, since he was ready, Narad Muni came and he gave him instructions. He brought the dead son of King Chitraketu back, the soul back into the body, and the boy got up and he also gave instructions. And now both have left. And Maharaj Chitraketu is now ready to make more advancement. Okay, so I guess we'll stop here. See if anybody has any questions or comments.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, today we have Shiva Kailasham from Chennai. He is a very old colleague of mine from Cisco, Bangalore. So,
Okay.
and he is very spiritual also. He is Upasak of Shakti Devi and Lord Shiva and Satya Sai Baba. But he started also taking interest whenever we have call and we talk about this Srimad Bhagavatam classes like Chitraketu verses. So he was taking interest in that and he wanted to join the class. So today he's there. He's with us.
Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhuji.
Welcome to the class.
Hare Krishna, sir. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hope we didn't disappoint you and hope to have your association more and more.
Yeah, I want to participate in your sessions as far as possible.
Thank you. Thank you. Actually, Radha Damodar Prabhu is in Chennai right now. And, you can be in contact with him if you want to.
Yeah, if you can pass on his telephone number,
I'll
I
do
can
that,
contact
Srila.
him.
Yeah. Sure,
Because
Vinay
it is,
Prabhu can give it.
I'll
yeah,
do that.
shutdown is, after shutdown, I can go and see him in the Chennai chapter of
Sure.
Hare Krishna. Yeah,
Sure.
that's
Hare
a
Krishna.
possibility. Hare Krishna. I love your organization, sir, on a whole. I have been in US for 8 years. I've gone to Hare Krishna in California and in Phoenix also. It's an awesome place.
Okay.
It's an awesome place. And you follow the strict vegetarianism and a lot of other things that it's not followed in this present, what is it, century. And a lot of things, a lot of bhakti yoga. People are so much dedicated. I really was enthralled by seeing the bhakti by the Hare Krishna volunteers and others who are preaching. I love
Mhm.
Gore's speech also. Gore used to give a lot of speeches on the self motivation, other things. I used to listen to that, and on a whole, Hare Krishna is an
Mhm.
awesome. What is it? Marg. That's a good Narayana marg. It towards reaching the goal of Lord Krishna or Sarvam Vishnumayam Jagat. That's what the word says. That is being incorporated in Hare Krishna, Hare Raman, Hare Krishna by Prabhupada, the
Mhm.
divine man. And really, my father is passed away. He was so much, he, he is so much devoted to Prabhupada. He used to read his books and all. He used to tell me he is a very great saint. And I've gone in Chicago also, your Hare Krishna temple.
Okay.
Yeah, it is really, I really appreciate the way it is being conducted. That's why when I was telling me all these days, I told him why not I join today and I can also be a volunteer of your organization from Chennai chapter. Yeah, that's
Thank you.
also one of my objective. Let me do some service if I can after the shutdown. What is it?
Sure. Sure. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Okay. You all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Ram.
Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna, Prabhuji.